Hi, I'm Rami. Welcome to New York City. This breathtaking metropolis has captured imaginations for generations, with its iconic skyline, vibrant culture, and endless possibilities. In fact, did you know this magnificent and captivating city holds fascinating hidden stories, such as the Statue of Liberty was originally designed to guard the Suez Canal in Egypt. Discover the hidden stories behind New York's iconic landmarks, and transform your next visit into an unforgettable journey? For our first tour, I want to introduce you to the crown jewels of the Big Apple, the dazzling lights of Times Square, the lush oasis of Central Park in Manhattan's heart, the Statue of Liberty standing proud in the harbor, the trendy neighborhoods of Soho and Chelsea. But this journey will take you beyond what 60 million annual tourists ever see, revealing the true face of New York that guidebooks never mention. Are you ready to discover the real New York City? Let's dive in. Manhattan's Phoenix Story. Picture yourself in today's Manhattan surrounded by blinding lights and towering skyscrapers, with crowds flowing beneath Times Square's glow, while families enjoy picnics in Central Park. Hard to believe these iconic places were once no-go zones, right? The Manhattan you love was practically apocalyptic just decades ago, making this one of America's most dramatic comeback stories. The Times Square of the 1970s would shock you. Today's tourist paradise was once called the symbol of urban decay, a cesspool of adult theaters, drug dealers, and violent crime. Locals called it the Tenderloin District, a name rumored to come from police getting choice steak cuts as bribes for patrolling such dangerous territory. Even native New Yorkers avoided these streets after dark. And Central Park. This landscaping masterpiece had deteriorated into a graffiti-covered wasteland. One park manager described it as a beautiful concept abandoned to the forces of nature and despair. Have you ever watched something you love slowly die? That's what New Yorkers experienced. By 1975, NYC nearly went bankrupt. Time magazine's famous cover declared New York City death. Manhattan's heart was flatlining, and radical intervention was the only hope. We weren't simply trying to save a neighborhood, we were fighting for New York's soul, recalled a founding member of the Times Square Alliance, formed in the early 1980s. Meanwhile, passionate citizens established the Central Park Conservancy. People thought we were crazy. One early volunteer said, "The park looked beyond saving, but we believed if we just started, somewhere anywhere, others would join." What would you do if someone handed you an 843-acre disaster zone and said fix it? The turning point came in 1994 when Disney opened a flagship store on 42nd Street. A shocking vote of confidence in dangerous Times Square like Domino's, Virgin Megastore, and Madame Tussauds followed, breathing life into the abandoned district. That same year, Mayor Giuliani implemented the broken windows theory, fix small problems to prevent bigger ones. By cracking down on minor offenses, major crimes began dropping. In Central Park, a zone-by-zone restoration approach gradually worked miracles. There was this moment, a longtime volunteer remembered, when I suddenly realized everything looked different. We were actually succeeding. The impossible was happening before our eyes. But this revival came with costs. As Times Square cleaned up, rents skyrocketed. When it was dangerous, nobody wanted us. Once it became valuable, suddenly we weren't welcome anymore, lamented 30-year resident. Local businesses vanished, replaced by global chains. The area got safer, but had it lost its soul? Here's something they don't tell you on tours. Central Park stands on land that was once Seneca Village, an African-American settlement whose 1,600 residents were forcibly evicted in 1857. Ever thought about how that famous movie Home Alone 2 bench sits where someone's home once stood? Today, Times Square welcomes over 50 million annual visitors. Since 2009, parks have become pedestrian-only zones where visitors lounge on the red steps, enjoying the spectacle. A place once called where dreams go to die is now on global bucket lists. Central Park hosts 40 million visitors yearly, and midnight movie screenings, in a space once too dangerous to enter after dark. Even through COVID-19, these spaces showed remarkable resilience. "This city has been declared dead so many times," said one business owner, "but we always come back reinvented." But still unmistakably New York Manhattan teaches us a powerful lesson: cities are made by people, not buildings. When citizens unite under a common vision, they can transform even the darkest spaces. Next time you visit New York, look beyond the attractions. You're witnessing living proof that human determination can make the impossible to possible, a journey from darkness to light that continues through 8 million New Yorkers' stories. What places in your hometown have transformed before your eyes? And what hidden histories might lie beneath your feet right now? Let's move to the Statue of Liberty. Please hit subscribe button. While we're on the move, have you ever wondered what emotions would flood through you if you had to migrate to a foreign land? Fear, excitement, anxiety, anticipation. Take a moment to imagine yourself stepping into a completely new world, leaving everything familiar behind. The story we're about to explore together is about that heart-pounding moment experienced by millions of people. Close your eyes for a second and picture this: a ship arriving at New York Harbor, and through the fog, a colossal woman slowly revealing herself. Her torch extends in welcome. This is exactly what immigrants saw when they first laid eyes on the Statue of Liberty. Shall we board the ferry together and head toward Lady Liberty? Most people know that the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France to America, but do you know why France gave such an enormous present? What was the story behind it? Even more surprising is the harsh reality immigrants faced, which stood in stark contrast to the glorious promise the statue symbolized. Did you know about Ellis Island, the gateway all immigrants had to pass through before setting foot on the land of freedom? Are you curious about what trials they endured to take their first steps in the land of opportunity? Today, we're traveling back in time to 1886, when the Statue of Liberty was first unveiled. Would you believe that the Statue of Liberty was originally designed for Egypt? French sculptor Auguste Bartholdi initially created it as Egypt's light, a massive lighthouse meant to stand at the entrance of the Suez Canal. When Egypt abandoned the project due to financial difficulties, Bartholdi proposed his work to America instead. Here's something even more fascinating. The face of Lady Liberty was modeled after the sculptor's mother. One of the world's most famous monuments actually bears the face of a French mother, although the statue was France's gift. Did you know that Americans themselves funded the pedestal and assembly costs? Newspaper magnate Joseph Pulitzer led a fundraising campaign that united the nation, from school children to wealthy businessmen. This is precisely why the Statue of Liberty carries deeper significance. It became a symbol of hope created through the collective wishes of the people. There's more to discover. The book Lady Liberty holds is actually inscribed with the date July 4, 1776 in Roman numerals, America's Independence Day. But you can't read this inscription from a distance. This was intentional. Bartholdi engraved this date symbolizing American freedom and independence, but made it visible only to those who approached closely. And there's another hidden symbol. At the feet of the statue lie broken chains, representing liberation from slavery, commemorating the end of the Civil War and emancipation. However, these chains are concealed by the pedestal. Unnoticed by most visitors, behind this magnificent symbol lay a cold reality. Ellis Island, which opened in 1892, served as a gateway for approximately 12 million immigrants until 1954. It was simultaneously a doorway to hope and a place of fear. After disembarking, immigrants faced medical examinations, legal interrogations, and eligibility assessments. Here's a shocking fact. Doctors were given only 6 seconds to observe each immigrant, known as the 6-second inspection. In this brief moment, their fate was decided. Doctors scrutinized immigrants' gait, breathing, and eyes for signs of illness. If marked with chalk on their clothing, it meant additional testing was required, potentially leading to separation from family. Can you imagine families traveling thousands of miles together only to be separated in this brief moment? Perhaps the most heartbreaking discovery is that approximately 2% of immigrants passing through Ellis Island were ultimately denied entry. While this might seem small by today's standards, it meant that over 250,000 people had to return home with shattered dreams. Even more striking is that among immigrants, Ellis Island earned the nickname Island of Tears. Families were separated, people rejected for health reasons, and sometimes even names were changed. Many who crossed the ocean carrying hope shed their first tears here. What's the most important lesson we can learn from this history? Perhaps it's the gap between the ideal of a land of freedom and opportunity, and the painful process required to realize that ideal. Between the magnificent promise symbolized by the Statue of Liberty and the harsh reality represented by Ellis Island, we discover America's complex identity, a country that promised equal opportunity to all, but often a company that promised with difficult tests and challenges. Returning to the present, the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island have become tourist destinations. Millions visit annually, but do they all understand the profound stories these places hold? If you look toward New York Harbor today, you'll still see Lady Liberty standing proudly. But now you know about the tears and hopes of millions of immigrants behind her, and how they contributed to building America. This story goes beyond historical facts and poses important questions for us today. How do we treat people from other countries? How wide is the gap between our symbols of hope and our actual policies? On the statue's pedestal is inscribed M. Lazarus's famous line, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." This wasn't just a welcoming message but a promise defining American identity. That promise continues today. Descendants of those who passed through Ellis Island formed their own communities across America, and areas like Soho or Little Italy in New York still preserve their cultural heritage. The diverse foods, arts, languages, and traditions brought by immigrants created America's colorful mosaic. Our journey doesn't end here. Next, we'll travel to where immigrants actually settled, Soho in Chelsea Market, where they began their new lives. There, we'll discover how immigrants integrated into American society while preserving their unique cultures, making New York one of the world's most diverse and dynamic cities. We'll express how tears shed at Ellis Island transformed into stories of hope and success, and the ongoing dreams and contributions of immigrants. The light from Lady Liberty's torch still shines hope for many. Do you have immigration history in your family? Share your story in the comments. All our stories together create history. Alright. Shall we move to the Soho and Chelsea Market? Please hit subscribe button while we're on the move. In our Statue of Liberty story, we encountered a monumental symbol of American spirit and values. But New York's true magic exists not just in its grand monuments, but in the layers of history hidden within everyday life. Have you ever walked down an ordinary street and felt like you were strolling through multiple layers of time? That strange yet magical sensation where past and present dance together in one space. If you've experienced this, you already understand what makes New York so captivating. Our journey now takes us to a special place where you can experience both New York's flavors and culture. Chelsea Market. Did you know that this place, now filled with delicious restaurants and unique shops, was originally a biscuit factory? But beyond the sophisticated facade and trendy restaurants lies a hidden history unknown to many visitors, even New Yorkers themselves. How did a massive cookie factory transform into a world-class culinary destination? And what story lies behind this transformation? The secrets hidden behind this iconic New York landmark reveal something profound about the city's identity, and perhaps America itself. Wouldn't you like to know what this building tells us about resilience, reinvention, and the creative spirit? Let's travel back to the 1890s. In a section of Manhattan's West Side, a company called the National Biscuit Company constructed an enormous factory complex, occupying an entire city block. This company would later become known by the name we're all familiar with, Nabisco. This magnificent red brick building was a state-of-the-art bakery production facility for its time. Thousands of cookies and crackers were produced here daily and shipped nationwide via specially designed railways. You can still find traces of these railway tracks in the High Line Park, next to the market today. Most notably, in 1912, one of the world's most beloved cookies was born in this very building. Yes, Oreos. That's right. Those black cookies with white cream sandwiched between them were first created right here in this building. This enormous factory served as an important industrial heart of New York for decades. But everything changes. In the 1950s, Nabisco decided to relocate its production facilities to New Jersey, leaving the massive factory complex in Chelsea facing an uncertain fate. For decades, this building that once produced everything from animal crackers to Oreos stood half abandoned, a relic of the city's industrial past. It was an era when many similar industrial buildings were being demolished. What few people realize is how close this historic structure came to demolition. During this period, another neighborhood in Manhattan called Soho was undergoing similar changes. Once filled with textile factories and warehouses, Soho was gaining new life as artists converted abandoned industrial spaces into studios and living quarters. Chelsea gradually began to feel these winds of change as well. This is where our story takes its most surprising turn. In 1993, developer Irwin Cohen purchased the abandoned Nabisco complex and embarked on a revolutionary project. Where others saw an old factory, Cohen saw a possibility. His vision wasn't simply to tear down the building and build anew. Instead, he aimed to preserve the building's historical characteristics and industrial charm while giving it a modern purpose. Exposed brick walls, high ceilings, steel beams, and concrete floors, all these original elements were intentionally preserved. What's most impressive is how the space was reinterpreted. Old mixing bowls became planters, utility pipes became decorative elements, and factory doors became architectural features. This wasn't just preservation, it was storytelling through architecture. In 1995, Chelsea Market officially opened, emerging as a unique space blending food vendors, restaurants, and retail shops. The factory where Oreos were born had now become a culinary paradise where you could taste cuisines from around the world. What can we learn from Chelsea Market's story? Perhaps the most powerful lesson is that true urban vitality comes not from demolishing and rebuilding, but from reimagining and repurposing. New York has always been a city of change, but its most charming places are often those that maintain connections to the past, while finding new purposes. Chelsea Market perfectly demonstrates how our industrial heritage can foster new forms of community and commerce. It embodies a philosophy that values layered history over blank slates, finding beauty in the traces left by time. In the same spaces where factory workers once toiled for 12-hour shifts, today's visitors enjoy flavors from around the world and shop for unique goods. Today, when you visit Chelsea Market, you experience this dynamic space alongside more than 6 million annual visitors. In the very building where factory workers once mixed cookie, dough, and packaged crackers, people are now tasting artisanal chocolates and fresh seafood. Take a slow walk through the market's interior. Looking at the high steel beams in the ceiling and the brick walls, you can tell these were all part of the original factory. Some shops even retain traces of conveyor belts that once transported cookie dough. Pay special attention to the area called Oreo Corner. This marks the exact location where Oreo cookies were first produced in 1912. Isn't it amazing that a cookie loved worldwide today was born right here? Even amidst the glossy modern shops and food experiences, traces of authenticity remain. This story challenges us to think differently about the places we inhabit and visit. In an age of rapid development and disposable architecture, Chelsea Market reminds us that our most vibrant urban spaces often come from reimagination rather than demolition. Next time you visit New York, I encourage you to experience Chelsea Market not just as a tourist attraction, but as a living page of history. As you enjoy delicious food, consider that this culinary playground exists within the very walls where Oreo cookies were first created more than 100 years ago. It feels strange to think that factory workers toiled 12-hour days in the very spot. Touch the exposed brick, smoothed by over a century of use. It's not just a building material, but living history. Chelsea Market poses important questions to us. How can we better preserve the soul and character of our cities, while allowing them to evolve? What other neglected spaces in our own communities might hold similar potential for transformation? Share your favorite New York transformation stories in the comments below. The city's history is still being written, and each of us becomes part of its ongoing story. Today, we've explored the amazing stories hidden behind New York's iconic landmarks. From Times Square's dark past hidden beneath brilliant neon signs, the forgotten history of the village buried under Central Park, the secret of the Statue of Liberty originally designed for Egypt, to Chelsea Market's birthplace of the Oreo cookie, travel finds its true meaning not just in visiting attractions, but in knowing the stories contained within them. You now know the hidden history of New York that most tourists never discover. How was today's journey? If you know any hidden stories about New York, please let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications if you're curious about more hidden stories of cities. I'll give you a new perspective for your next trip. Our story continues in the next video.
Big streets calling out where the dreams all collide. I'm chasing time here with the world open wide. Oh, New York City, you're a fire in my chest. You're a puzzle of chaos, but you love me the best. From the towers that climb to the music that hums, I count every heartbeat till tomorrow comes. Steam from the manholes like dragons in flight. Skyscrapers rising, breaking